So I'll call Dr. Dorcas again here to lead us in the Fireside Chat.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. We've run very late, and we are so privileged to have Thelma still be present with us. She was really tight with time, but I know that she's really one of our top African women in technology, and she's also running a very big initiative across Africa around the future of smart Africa, in terms of how will we have a digital Africa in the future. And there are so many aspects. So we are privileged to have her. So Thelma, I want to welcome you. Thank you so much for your kindness, your patience. I know you had a very busy schedule. And just let's have this little chat because I think you walked the full journey of the pipeline. Barbara? So let me also use this opportunity as Barbara is screening something here to just let you know more about Thelma. Am I saying it right? In Kenya, I have a lot of influence by my accent, so I will once in a while, add my modifications. So I'm going to introduce her, but this is a very, very, very short introduction. And she's from Ghana. How many people know Thelma? Show your hands up. Yes, she's one of our amazing African women in technology. So I just want to let me read. I want to pull it out. Just 1 minute. Yes. So Thelma Quaye, yeah, is the director of digital infrastructure, skills, and empowerment at Smart Africa. Which is a very big inter-government, inter-country, multi-stakeholder initiative to drive the African economies. And she has over 2 decades of experience across telecoms, ICT, banking, and has spearheaded very many transformative initiatives, including the Smart Africa Digital Academy, which won the global world, why we call it WISIS, yeah, Champion Award, and the African Network of Cybersecurity Authorities, and several other Pan-African digital strategies. She's recognized here in Ghana and actually across the Africa as Ghana's top women in technology because she's also been part of many boards, board membership, board leadership, and also serves also in the World Economic Forum, Global Council, Future Council on Cybersecurity, and is passionate about mentoring and next generation female leaders. And I know this is one of the things in the portfolio also within the Smart Africa. So we are privileged to have her. And what we want to do is, if you look at what is on screen, and I know it's a bit hard for you to see, so we've talked about the AfChix Women in Leadership program is supposed to really increase what's going into that glass. And she's one of our drops that has already fallen in that water. And that means that she's walked a very long journey along the way. And in this forum, what we want to do is to just chat a bit about what are some of the decision points that she found herself in across the journey, and what kind of support did she get. We just want it to be very natural, just share, because everybody is like walking this journey. Look, the young ones, others have walked it, others are trying to get across this, so that we talk about navigation of this career to the next level. So let me begin with some of the decisions you took right at the age of 11. Math, science. There was somebody who asked earlier that, what do we do at that stage? Do you remember how you navigated your decisions around that age? And do you remember any passions, anything that you can tell us that you believe has helped you get to where you are today?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Where do I start? So growing up, I was naturally very curious. So that's where I would start. I would fidget with everything I lay my hands on. I would ask a lot of questions which got on people's nerves. And I, I think I still do ask questions which gets on my team's nerves, but that's the only way I know how to. There were several decision points. I mean, okay, good. I'm sitting in Ghana because I was going to say I come from Ghana. Ghana. We have a culture here where once you are bright, they would encourage you to do science. So it wasn't like there was any scientific basis for me to do science. It was just that, oh, you do well in school, you're curious, so the natural thing is science. Now, that wasn't even the most difficult decision. When I had to go to the university, I had to make a decision on what to do. I had no clue what to do. I had no idea. There was no career development courses. There was no mentors. I didn't know what was mentors. This was in the 1990s. And
if I may ask, do you remember at this time when you mean that you were encouraged, did anybody ever speak to you about, take sciences, take maths, you are good at it? Do you remember where that influence may have sounded from? Maybe teachers, parents, anyone?
So it was more my teachers. However, even the school that I was choosing, they were a bit skeptical that, hey, so I grew up in Takrades in the west part of Ghana. And I remember my head teacher telling me that, nobody from this school has ever gone to a Cape Coast school. So don't choose any Cape Coast school, which the Cape Coast schools are supposed to be the best schools in Ghana. And so just choose, Tadisco. And I had already asked around and I really wanted to go to Wesley Girls. Is there anybody from Wesley Girls here? I'm glad nobody is here. I really wanted to go to Wesley Girls. And then when I came home, my mom was like, okay, Wesley Girls may be too high. So you take Holy Child. And it's not like Holy Child, well, going through I went to Holy Child. I eventually went to Holy Child. And going to Holy Child, I don't think Holy Child is any lesser than Wesley Girls. But they were scared that I would lose out if I'd aim too high. And so I should aim lower a bit so I can achieve my target. So, well, the rest is history. I'm a very proud Hobson. And nobody can convince me that Holy Child is or Wesley Girls is better than Holy Child. So yeah, I did that. Now, when it was time to go to the university, and over there I did both biology and math. It was during that time we didn't have the luxury of choosing, so we needed to do everything. Now, when I was going to the university, this is where it started.
And I was taught here in Ghana, people are going to the university at 16 years.
Yes. Yes. So I was, I think, about 17 when I was going to the university. And my dad told me that, you are a woman, you will grow, I wanted to do mechanical engineering. And I was told, you are a woman, you grow, you marry, you get pregnant. Why don't you do pharmacy? Because if you do pharmacy, you can open a drugstore, and even if you are pregnant, you can be selling your medicine. This is what he said. So, and then I had asked around, and people had discouraged me on mechanical engineering, that it was too manual. And so I said, okay, what's the next? So I went back to school, even though I had left Holy Child, to ask my teachers. And they told me I never knew until then that there was civil engineering, there's electrical engineering, there's mechanical. And based on, because the teachers knew me, we think you can do either civil or electrical. So my decision point was, oh, okay. All my friends are doing civil and I don't want to be like them. So I'll do electrical. This is just how I made a decision. Just okay. So I'll do electrical. Then I went back home. This was Cape Coast. So I went back home to Takrady. And my dad was like, hey, are there any fancies here? Okay. My dad was like, hey, in Terco school now call for full polar. Eh, like to wait. So you're going to school just to climb poles, because I said I wanted to do electrical. And I told him no. When I was told, what I was told was that they're electronics, so I can do electronics. He was not happy with me choosing electrical engineering. His was okay, I know you're bright, but do pharmacy so that you can have your store, your shop, and sit. And that wasn't my ambition. Who says I wanted to sell? Yeah, so those were some of the decision points. And I think
that's a very interesting thing. I want to hear how you navigated. Did you just proceed with your choice, or what did you?
I did proceed with my choice. The thing with my parents is that they would advise, but they will not force you. And my mom was really an encourager. My mom told me that I could achieve whatever I wanted to be. So for me, in all this, my mom was more of the pillar, because she let me know that, this is what you want to do, you can do it. And so I did it. And for me, because of the doubt that my dad had, it was my ambition never to fail, So I wasn't going to fail. So I finished with the second class upper. Actually, I had first class throughout, and then the last semester I dropped. But yeah, so that's how I ended up with electrical. Now, even doing
Before I'm just thinking about your teachers, that the ones that you went back to, so that when you learned about over and above mechanical engineering, there was civil, there was electrical, electronic engineering, and there was more. And now you went back and said, okay, there's beyond this mechanical engineering, which you fear will be too manual. And I have opted in for the one that looks very the one that takes me to electronics, which really is something that I like. I'm trying to think about the influence of the educators, and how they help students either by affirming or by discouraging, because there are also people who say that the teacher said, I am not good at math, so I couldn't pursue that. So do you, in the top of your mind, remember the teacher who actually was very influential, that educator?
Oh yes, I'm still in touch with him, Mr. Day. Actually, in 2023, when my year group went back to school, I gave him a special gift, because I felt like he was he was very instrumental, and he's still there. And for me, it was also a confidence that I didn't have. I took a lot of things for granted, that I could understand a lot of concepts in class for easily. I took for granted, but they saw and said, no, due to this and this and this, we think either civil or electrical, which was very powerful. If it was just me, I would have gone to mechanical, and I don't know where I would be by now. So the influence of teachers is very, very powerful. Whether they tell you cannot or they tell you can, has an impact.
And in terms of when you eventually chose to take on electrical electronic engineering, and you're very determined that either way I will not fail, because you knew there was a different opinion perhaps at home from your dad, and you had already made a decision, and you knew the journey, which really shows that you are very aware of yourself and your capabilities and your vision and whatever else that you felt about life. Do you remember how your dad navigated that? Was it by just letting you be, or did you ever have this conversation again ever?
No, we did, but it was a silent conversation. That thing that, okay, I will be here. Sort of. But then when the grades kept coming in, the first and we had the, what do you call it, CWA, I think. Yeah, it's called cumulated weighted average. So we had it every semester, and when he kept seeing it, he got convinced, and at the end it became a joke. So it wasn't any hard feeling for him. It was more of trying to protect me. So one of his worries was, will I even get married? Don't get into too much hard things that you will not get married. You will not,
It was
find a
social
partner.
protection.
Yeah. So, so for him, that was one of his worries. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm emphasizing there because when we look at the pipeline, we are seeing a very strong condensation of this pipeline from the navigation of from high school to college. And when we lose those numbers, it means we'll have less and less in the end. And so the reason I asked that question is because I have observed over time that most females who today took on technical courses, most of them were very strong. I also had a similar case where my father came to convince me to go into pharmacy, and I felt, no, I'm very poor with biological things. I fear hospitals. I fear everything about that environment. And I said, you know what? Since I'm going to take this course, I'm ready to work for it. I suggest you let me make the decision. And you see, again, the fact that your father was accommodative, I think really did help. The fact that you knew that once you make your choice, he won't come back and insist or give a threat. Because we've had cases where some ladies were told that if you don't take the program that I'm recommending, then I won't pay the school fees. We've had these kind of cases. So I think we are looking here at, even if at the point he was of a different opinion in terms of a course, the way the journey progressed, it was still supportive. He just expressed an opinion and still allowed you to be. And I think that just shows the power of also parents in terms of how they impact the choices. So I'm happy to hear more about how you went into this faculty, and you are probably one or two, but tell us more about your experience at the university.
No, I will. But, I think the other thing is my father is also an educator. So he sort of understood. And for him, it was with all the good intentions he had. Now, when I went into the university, it wasn't much of a drama. I mean, because I was, for me, one thing is just don't dare me, because if you dare me, I'll do it. And because I didn't want I wanted to prove a point to my dad. I made sure I put my all in it, to be successful. We were 13 girls and about 100 and something boys. But we did work together very well. And honestly, if I look at your pipe, most of my challenges were more when I was in corporate. That is when most of my challenges began. It wasn't back in school. Yeah, we knew 13 girls. It was known that girls are not okay. So maybe I go back to secondary school, where I also contested for my school those times on what we now call national science and math quiz. At that time, it was brilliant. Those of you who are old, you understand. It was brilliant science and math quiz, and it was a lot of intimidation for the girls' school at that time. It was really intimidating. I was on stage with Presec. You can imagine, for those who know Presec. It was very intimidating. So it was at that point, some of my colleagues decided they were not pursuing STEM because it was very intimidating. And it speaks to what you have just said. For me, I was very bent on doing this thing and going through and being, exploring to the best of my ability. And I think it's also because of the kind of parents I had. They were educated, they were enlightened, and so it made it easier for me. It wasn't much of a hassle. I had a few problems in university, where a lecturer told me that he thinks I spend more time in the mirror more than on my books. But the grades didn't say so, and he was always, hating on me. But that was just one of those things. I didn't take it to heart. Fast forward, thankfully, immediately after school, I got a job at MTN. And one of the things that I want to point out here is building your competence. Unfortunately, what they teach us in school is very different from what we do when we get to the office. And so for me, I applied myself. I did everything you can imagine an engineer would do. I did design, I did survey, I did implementation. I remember there was a tower on top of Silver Star. I climbed that tower, I installed the radio. I did all that. because I wanted to have that experience. And competence is very, very important as a woman. Already, the fact that you're a woman, you know, there's already there's already a filter for you, right? So you need to work extra hard. And so for me, the first thing was building my competence. It was very, very important to me. If the path I chose was a transmission designer within the telecom space, and I did it to the max. I rose through the ranks. I became the CTO of Airtel, but also that didn't come without challenges. That is where my challenges began in the boardroom.
We are looking forward to hearing this part because it's the only part we haven't really discussed, which is one of the reasons we wanted to close with this fireside chat, because we are encouraging people to go all the way. And you did everything we talked about, like put yourself forward, skill up, be dynamic, be agile, take on tasks, volunteer, do everything you can so that at early career you pick up momentum. And then obviously, you want to go to the next level, and it comes with a different kind of maneuver. So here is where now most people will say the job is too isolating. Did you find the job isolating, especially as you navigated to go to Airtel? Because I believe that was now the transition post your entry-level job where you acquired all this experience. How did you handle the part of this is too isolating, whether it's from friends, whether it's from family, whatever it is?
The job is too isolating, and I don't think it's even only in tech. I think it's with all women wanting to get somewhere on the corporate ladder. And the reason is that for you to get somewhere on the corporate ladder, you need to exert yourself. You need to put in all the effort. You need to, like you said, you need to show up. You need to take opportunities. You need to pick up tasks. There was a point where, because I was a woman, I was asked to stay back in the back office and let the boys go out. And I questioned my supervisor on that. Why? I also want to go out. And he said, you know what? And that is one of the advice that kept me. He said, what you do here, you are the brain. You are doing the brain work, because I was doing the designing, the planning, and then we give it to the boys to go and implement. They are just the legs. So focus on this and learn it. And I'm truly, truly appreciative of him for that advice. And that was Victor. I don't know if there's anybody here in MTN. That was in MTN at that time. So feeling isolated, yes, because at times, again, I give you an example here where, because I was at the back office, because I was picking up tasks, I was showing up, I wasn't waiting to be asked. Now it felt like, oh, she's sleeping with the manager. Yeah, I got that. What is between you and the manager? What is happening? And then I quickly got a raise. When the manager was, going on leave, I would act, and the rumors were rife that, the manager is my boyfriend. And at that time, I think I wasn't dating, I think. And so it got to me. I cannot lie. It got to me. But I tried to still focus on it. And those were some of the isolating moments, because I'm a woman, because I'm showing up and I'm seeing the benefits of showing up, it means that I'm sleeping with my manager. Those were some of the moments.
Yeah, and I think this is when it starts to get a bit political. You know what I mean? Like, as you are speaking, I remember there's this book which says, good girls never get the corner office. There's many things that say the navigation beyond when you have the skills, because it's no longer about the skills. It changes from competencies to other things. You may even have the soft skills, and sometimes when you apply them as a woman, they actually don't work for you. So you have to be a little bit of, balancing between how do I navigate this situation and what am I facing? Because like you're saying there, this is somebody who has identified this lady is good at her job. And we are depending on the design work that she's doing, and we are getting it right when these people go to the field. So I want to send them to the field to do the work, because when she does the plans, things work out right. So this is something that now your manager is dependent on. But suddenly, out of whatever, people decide they want to frame that to whatever they feel is convenient. And it's really tough, because then it can come with, HR policy issues. Sometimes we are voiceless. And I think it could cut both ways, because some people have also been, harassed, even sexually, as they're doing the job by the same bosses, and they didn't have a voice. And I want to hear, did you have any support now from HR, or what are some of the tactics you used around this kind of challenge?
No, there was no support because it wasn't even formal. It was more rumors. And, you see through people's attitude, people casting insinuations. There was no HR support. I was really left on my own. And fate to prove that it wasn't true. But not long, I spent 3 years in MTN. And then actually in the process of acting for my manager, I got to meet Zane at the time, and then we had a meeting, and then they went back and said, "Oh, we want you to join us." And then they tripled my salary and I left. And then
opportunity presented itself, and you were like, it's time to jump ship.
Yeah. And then I left to Zane. So sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking about how many people get derailed by these kinds of things, especially because when you're doing very well and you know that maybe it's something that you're building on, maybe you're not even ready for a move. You understand? Like you feel like this is what I want to build up on this. And it's a very difficult decision point. Did you have any mentors or, clearly you've been strong from the get-go. But I'm just thinking, we were here talking about mentors, have somebody to consult. Did you try to figure this by yourself? Did you use online resources? What are some of the things you did to really help you navigate?
So I didn't have mentors. I didn't even know what was mentorship at that time. But I did have friends that I could confide in. So, the kind of friends that you would go back home, call, and maybe have a 1-hour conversation on this is it. And they'll say, "Oh, don't worry, we know you," and all those kind of things. I didn't really have any formal mentorship. Again, as I said, my real challenges came in the C-suite. Surprisingly, I was a manager, I was a senior manager. It wasn't a problem. It was when I was in the C-suite, when I got to the C-suite. Now, to get there, I was told that I was not aggressive enough to be a CTO.
Was that in Zane or in another company?
That was, Zane sold to Airtel, so that was in Airtel. But okay, Airtel no longer exists. I can talk about it. So I was told, when it was time to be a CTO, I was told that I'm not aggressive enough. Okay, competency-wise, you are good, but you need to be aggressive. And so I asked them, what aggression for what? Are we in the boxing ring? Why do I need to be aggressive? And that's even infuriated them the more. And the second thing I want to point out here is to be authentic, to be yourself. There is no two versions of yourself. And if you try to be somebody, you fail, you will flop, And the aggression, this comment was coming from the fact that my predecessor, who was a Nigerian, you can understand, and was a male Nigerian. And so they expected me to be the same, and I didn't. And so it took me a while, even though I was acting in that role, doing the job, fulfilling all duties, to be confirmed, over 6 months, which never happens. And then following that, my salary was also not increased, because they felt like, okay, you need this job so badly, And for me, I could have taken it badly. I could have, resigned, but I took it as a learning opportunity, and it has helped me. In every situation, and I'm also a person of faith. In every situation, I ask God, okay, in the human way, this could be bad, but what is the lesson for me? show me the lesson. And for me, no matter how terrible I was, terrible things they did, I used the opportunity to learn. Today, I can put on my CV that I was a CTO, and I was a CTO. I understand the network, and that role of a CTO has taken me very, very far. Even though nobody knows that I never got the salary of a CTO at the time. And now I'm getting even more, than if I had fought them, if I had felt victimized, or if I had resigned. So, for me, every situation presents itself an opportunity for learning. And it was a very, very good opportunity for me.
I mean, I like that because if I'm getting you right, you're saying that I decided that this I can't learn in a classroom. I am going to learn through the experience. I'm going to put time to actually observe and see how I can build on what am I hearing? What is the message? Because I want to go higher and higher. What is the message that I should learn to do so that in the next opportunity, I can actually be able to manage this? That's really good. But there's something you've talked about, these friends that you would call. And I think we're talking about support system. People who can understand your circumstances as a woman, your circumstances at this, C-suite level, and whatever it is that you mentioned, they can relate to it, or they can give a word of encouragement, or they can suggest a tip on something that you can apply. Just talk a bit about that support system. And as there was a presentation on self-care, part of self-care is actually having these people that you can actually vent out a bit and they give you really constructive feedback, but can consume the level at which you are. Because I think as you get to this, I don't know that it happened when you were in your 40s, but my friends have been saying that, when you get into your 40s, you realize there's a whole game shift that's happening. Also because at your career level, there's, kind of the experience and the level at which you are. But I would love to hear more about, the support system from, your friends, but also, how you then can look at it today and say, at that level, what are some of the things that you can surround yourself with to be able to navigate? And what kind of patience helps? Because, we say too much patience is cowardice, but at what point do you,
Right. So in terms of support system, and again to my Ghanaian ladies, I know we have a culture of priding ourselves in hard work. I have to cook myself. I have to wash. I have to do this. There is no pride in being tired. There is no pride in being tired. It's a waste of your resources. If you can afford it, outsource it. Let no man shame you into outsourcing cooking, outsourcing washing. Even if you can outsource, of course, the kids, you need to spend time with them. But if you can afford having a nanny, please take it because it helps. For me, support was very instrumental in my growth. Luckily, or well, unfortunately for my mom, but luckily for me, I'm her only child. So once I started giving birth, she stopped working and came to me. So she was with me full time, taking care of my kids. Of course, we also had house help. So I had that strong support at home. I have an engineer husband. So he totally understands my work and he totally understands my frustration. So that's also another plus for me. But if you can outsource anything, and even then for me, it was a struggle transitioning at that time. Transitioning from, oh, I have to cook for my husband, I have to take care of my kids. Even if I have a house help, I want to be the one to cook. Just be there and fetch water for me and all those things, and I'll cook. I was tired. I was wearing myself out. I would have to travel and I'll be feeling guilty. There is no there I believe me, for me, support has been good. Has been a central part of my growth.
I'm hearing
I can't
you released yourself and actually realize that you can get the support you need across the domain and you can outsource it.
Yes, I mean when I finally decided, you know what, I'm going to let this lady cook full time, I realized, so what was the issue? it was just a cultural thing of feeling that responsibility of cooking for my husband. My husband didn't even care, So support was very, very important. Then also, societal demands uh, can be very daunting. So maybe I'll just, move fast forward a bit for this story. When I had to move to Rwanda, the first time I had to move to Rwanda, I mean, it was an opportunity finding for me. It wasn't even a job. I didn't have a job. I was I was fact finding. And in the fact finding, I had to go to Rwanda. So I picked up my bag, went there 5 days. And everybody that I met asked me, so how about the kids and your husband? But if my husband had traveled, would you have asked him how about the your wife and the kids? And fast forward when I got the job and I had to leave them for about a year. Of course, I was going and coming. Every person who called me, the first question is, hey, so who is taking care of your kids? Is the man not their father? If the father had gone, nobody would ask him that who is taking care of your kids. So I think these are some of the things that we need to let go of because they are unnecessary societal pressure. For me, my husband has been a fantastic support in my support system. He was there throughout all these changes. So he knew all the cries and all the frustrations. And then my mom, and of course, I seek help when I want to. Even at work, as women, we are tempted to do everything. Outsource it, delegate, let people do it, empower people to do it. So you can have time to, focus on strategy.
That's absolutely true. And you just spoke to now, how does somebody transition from, the managerial level, for example, to C-suite? Because C-suite is very demanding. And to be honest, you wouldn't transition there without support, because if you want to have your family, you want to have, many different things, you can do it without support. And some of that support means that you have to delegate things that you probably have held very personally. And so you just spoke to this job isn't flexible enough for me and my family, and how people maneuver. And I have seen that most people who are actually able to do that, they delegate and they also get a lot of support. And I think there's a whole mental process there, because by the time you agree with yourself that you're ready to do it, and it empowers you and it empowers even your children, it helps. So now you're at senior leadership. And I want us to conclude and say, after that, people say, you live for purpose, like when you're in retirement. And I know it's something that you keep on touching in your different ways, even like what you're doing right now, is just paying it forward. So what are some of the things that cement your ability to, be in that C-suite, be in that executive team, be in boards, but at the same time, still be able to connect with, what you're now feeling like, I've done all this in my career. There are things that I feel I should do for the society. How do you, because I think that gives you fulfillment and it helps you kind of almost plan for your retirement. How do you connect that? How do you transition that? Because I think every role requires fulfillment. You need to feel fulfilled. Yeah.
So for me, it's giving back, to not to society, but to women. And that's something that I do with a lot of passion because believe it or not, I am a product of mentorship. Even though it came late, I always mention her name, Lucy. Lucy is the one who saw a lot of, C-suite potential in me and pulled me out of my shell. It was very painful when she was pulling me out of my shell because I was the techie. I just want to do my job and go. And she said, no, I'm going to, put you here. She took me through a lot of mentorship that I didn't ask for, and because of that, I feel like I owe it to pay it forward. And so, for instance, I instituted something called Smart Cafe within Smart Africa, and that's a mentorship coaching session within Smart Africa. But it's a concept that we're also planning to bring out through our project on smart women and girls. And that's something that I do passionately. On the other side, I also mentor a lot of women and now men. And now men, I have about 3 men that I mentor. And what you said, what makes me show up? I missed that question.
No, just like how the motivation, because you've moved from different stages. We were laughing about high achievers. I mean, because to grow this way, you that's really achievement.
Yeah.
And so we're talking about how high achievers somehow, it's like we can't stop. But I'm just saying that most of the time they are planning like, what will I do
Next, yeah.
Yeah, what will I do next year? But no, what will I do post this stage that will give me fulfillment? Which part of even the work you're doing, even if it's work, because of the impact it can have on Africa, it's really part of the things that you want to do. You want to be part of the impact. You want your skills to impact the society, to impact the continent. So I was saying that because I think it's very important that as you go through the journey and you realize I can do another PhD, or I can do 5 more, you now start to connect with a higher purpose that now helps you to transition and also stabilize and also make you choose the environment you want to work in.
Got it. Yeah. Right. So I'm not sure if I'm there yet. I always ask, people ask me, how did I arrive or how did I choose my career? And you would see that from my story, a lot of them were coincidence. But looking back, it looks designed. And I still haven't connected with my higher purpose. I'm still finding it. However, what gives me satisfaction now is to help people, So most of my projects in Smart Africa are things that are helping people move forward in life. So it's mentorship, it's supporting women, it's scholarship, and it's devices. And so if you see the passion with which I speak to these development finance agencies, I'm easily able to attract funds because of the passion. And I feel like that is, that may be the direction. I haven't connected yet, though, to the higher purpose. I'm still looking for it.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think we've come to the end and we've walked a whole journey. There might be questions from the audience, comments, and we can take 1 or 2 if they're there. There's one here. And actually another one behind.
So as we wait for the questions, I also wanted to highlight, apart from building your competency, outsourcing, please network. Please network. It's very, very unusual for us as women to network because we're in a hurry to go and cook food for our husbands. Please, one day, let him also cook and go for that networking session.
Thank you very much. My name is Rukayat. I work with DDS, that's Dynamic Data Solutions, as a NOC support engineer. So thank you very much, Madam Thelma. Your story is really inspiring and it's always almost like mine. Like I have the same thing going on when I was going to school. It's like, what are you coming to do in mechanical class? You are even a Muslim. One allergy will come and marry you, then you'll be in the kitchen. Then I look at them like this, what are you talking about? Then I smile. My mom was like, you are not a man. I gave birth to you to be a woman. You have to go and do medicine. And I said, no, this is what I want to do. I'm so inspired. And today, I haven't gotten to where she is today, but with the journey, I'm so happy at where I am right now too. So my question is, with the age 11 science stroke maths, every day in, day out, I have these kids in my area. When I'm always on my laptop, then they'll be like, Auntie, what are you always doing on your laptop? I have some guys who goes to my husband, they'll be like, what does your wife do? She's always on her laptop and she's serious. Then my husband will be like, what do you think she's doing? Or maybe she's a scammer. Then I smile. Then she'll be like, oh, she's an engineer. They say, oh, wow, then you are lucky. So this student comes to me and be like, okay, we want to do something like us, but the maths and the calculations, we can't, especially the girls. Then I'll be like, maths and science is not difficult. I don't know how I'm going to explain it to you. But today, as you are sitting here, I want to ask you, how am I going to explain to these kids that these calculations are not difficult when you are motivated or you inspire yourself that, yes, I can do this? Because along my journey from GSS, my mom used to be my math teacher. From school, I come home, she take me through math. So I was so good with math. And she feel like, okay, science is good for you, but you are not doing engineering. So I don't know how I'm going to speak to these kids. Like right now, my company have also nominated me for mentorship. So I'm going to speak to the young girls, but how am I going to tell them this, that when they ask me a question, what about science and maths? How am I going to explain it to them? That this is not difficult, you can do it. Thank you very much.
Right. So I started out as a knock engineer, by the way. So yeah, I found it a bit too mundane, and I asked to be changed. So yeah. Um, I'll tell you a story on a certain girl. So when I was a CTO, I used to do STEM rounds in schools. And one, I went to a school, and when I introduced myself as an engineer, the girl laughed and fell down. She was 8 years old at the time. She was in class 3 or so. She laughed because she said her dad is a mechanic, like a mechanic, yeah, and he's always in a GA, and her mom is a beautician, and for her this is the standard for a woman. It's either you're a beautician, and a woman can never be an engineer. So then I took my time to explain to her that, first of all, she is as brilliant as the boy. Brilliance has no gender. In fact, if we want to put gender on brilliance, I think women are more brilliant. So I made sure to take her and also show her women who are engineers, who are wearing GS. Vision is very important. When they see, they believe. So these children, and I'm glad that you have a mentorship opportunity. Show them videos of women who are engineers. Show them people they know in the society who are even doctors. And you never know, they might be interested to go and do science. The girl is now doing science in AIS. Yeah. So.
All right. So, Thelma, thank you so much. I think your story has been very inspiring for me in particular. I just glanced through your LinkedIn page and I noticed you did a short article about mom girls. So I'm very curious, since we have you here in person, to just listen to what your insights are about that. And then my second question is, as a mom of young kids myself, we are in this time where there's a lot of focus on STEAM, science, technology. How do you manage the expectation to allow your own children to also carve their own path whilst giving them the support they need? Thank you.
Thank you. So the thing of STEAM or STEM, as I always say, is not to make every child a coder or an engineer. It's just to give them a certain fundamental that helps them be logical, that helps them understand basics, that also helps them to be critical, to have critical thinking, and that helps them to be innovative, because the workplace of the future, and it's here now, whether you are in engineering, you're an accountant, you're a teacher, some way, somehow, you're going to use tech. Some way, somehow, you would have to understand what tech is. So it's the idea of ensuring that STEM, we have STEM at the basics, is not really to make them in future engineers. My first daughter says she wants to be a tennis player. We are helping her to do the tennis that she wants to play, but alongside, she has to understand the basics of tech and all those things. So I think as parents, we need to be also open. Please don't force all your children to be engineers. Some of them will be teachers and every other thing. Now, mom guilt. As I sit here, I'm suffering from mom guilt. because my family is in Kigali, and I have a 4-year-old who is calling me every now and then. She was calling me as I sit here. But I've also come to learn that when you put in systems, it's much bearable. So, for instance, when I'm away, I make sure I call them two times a day, in the morning before they go to school, in the evening before they sleep. I have, luckily, my husband is able to work from home, so he's always there with them. We have, a good support system. It comes back to the good support system. But ultimately, I also learned that really, mom guilt is more about me than the kids, because the kids, they thrive. Kids really thrive. I mean, they will do a few skirmishes here and there, but they thrive with or without you. So it's something that I'm still dealing with, but I have had ways of, dealing with it.
Hello, Madam Thelma. So my name is Priscilla Nyakwa, and I am a network support engineer at DDS to previously dimension data. So I really enjoyed your story, especially because you did electrical engineering and then you were doing designing and planning. It means you did a lot of learning on your own, because I know you were not taught all that in school. So currently, I have already done my CCNA, but I'm looking forward to going into network security and then the designing and the planning. But I felt like because I'm not so good with drawing, I don't even know where to start from. So I wanted to ask you, what are some of the tools you use? What are some of the things that you did to be able to help you to design a whole network and then plan for it to be implemented and it works very well?
So for me, my first tool was asking questions. Sometimes you ask people questions and you can see that they're irritated. But you need to develop that skill of not absorbing their energy, because you need to learn. So it's important to ask a lot of questions. But for you as well, there are a lot of tools online. I don't specifically know for CCNA or for the route that you want to go to. But most of the tools that I used were in-house. They were built in-house in MTN and in Airtel. So they are not generic tools that I could share with you. However, there are fundamentals to it. If you went to LinkedIn Learning, there are a lot of fundamentals that you can even learn the basics. And these days, YouTube has a lot of information as well, right? For you to get the fundamentals, so you can apply it to any other tool that you got. But the critical thing for me was asking questions and showing up. You want to install this router. Okay, can I help you? That's how I learned.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I don't see any other hand. So, Thelma, we want to thank you so, so much for your presentation, for your story. And I can just see how that has, brought a lot of, really rich questions. We had an online audience. I don't think we have a question online. We don't have. Yeah. So thank you so much. We have